Have you ever looked at your plate or your morning drink and felt proud thinking, I'm doing everything right for my health, only to later feel bloated, exhausted, or see your lab numbers quietly drifting in the wrong direction? What if I told you that some of the foods and drinks you trust the most, the ones labeled clean, plant-based, or healthy, could be silently damaging your kidneys right now, without pain, without warning, and without your doctor catching it in time? I'm Dr. Johnny, and this is one of the most uncomfortable truths I've had to explain to my patients. Kidney damage doesn't announce itself. It builds quietly, slowly, until one day the damage is no longer reversible. And by then, most people wish someone had warned them earlier. In this video, I'm going to show you what's really happening beneath the surface, and more importantly, how to protect your kidneys before it's too late. Stay with me because what you're about to hear could change how you eat, drink, and think about your health forever. Most people don't destroy their kidneys with junk food. They do it with something that looks clean, green, and responsible. I'm talking about green smoothies and juice cleanses, the kind you're told will detox your body, boost energy, and protect your health. Spinach, Swiss chard beets, almond milk, chia seeds. If you've ever poured those into a blender and felt proud of yourself, you're not alone. I see this pattern constantly. Patients come in convinced they're doing everything right, yet their labs quietly worsen their kidneys, working harder every single day. Here's what almost no one explains clearly. Many of these superfoods are extremely high in oxalates. Oxalates are natural plant compounds, but inside your body, they don't behave gently. They bind to calcium and form sharp calcium oxalate crystals. Under a microscope, these crystals don't look harmless. They look like tiny needles. And when they pass through your kidneys, they irritate, inflame, and damage the filtration system meant to keep your blood clean. The science here is not subtle. Spinach alone can contain up to 1,000 milligrams of oxalates per 100 grams. Studies show that elevated urinary oxalate is one of the strongest predictors of kidney stone formation. And when you blend these foods into a smoothie, you're not getting a normal serving, you're getting a concentrated oxalate load in liquid form absorbed fast day after day. What makes this even more dangerous is that you don't feel it happening. There's no immediate pain, no warning signal, just silent stress on your kidneys until one day a stone forms, inflammation spikes, or your lab results finally cross a line your doctor can't ignore anymore. This is why kidney organizations consistently warn people, especially anyone who has ever had a kidney stone, to limit high oxalate foods like spinach, certain nuts, beets, and wheat bran. Not because these foods are evil, but because dose and frequency matter, and smoothies erase both limits at once. So what do you do instead? You don't have to give up vegetables or live in fear of food. You rotate smarter. You choose lower oxalate greens like broccoli, arugula, or lettuce. If you do eat higher oxalate foods occasionally, you pair them with calcium-rich foods during meals so oxalates bind in the gut instead of in your kidneys. And most importantly, you stop treating daily detox juices as harmless habits because for your kidneys, they're anything but. But here's the part most people miss. Even when they finally cut back on green smoothies, they often replace them with something they believe is even healthier, and that swap can quietly make the problem worse. Because knowing this alone isn't enough. There's another food most people consume every single day that may be even more dangerous for your kidneys. And this is where many people think they've already fixed the problem. They stop the green smoothies, and then they replace them with something they believe is even healthier. Almond milk, almond flour, almond butter, almond bars, almond snacks. I see this all the time. Someone gives up heavy cream dairy or regular milk because they want to do better, so they switch to almond milk without hesitation. Not because they love the taste, but because they're convinced it's the healthier choice. I've had patients look me straight in the eye and say, it doesn't even taste as good, but I know it's better for me. That belief is powerful and dangerously wrong. Here's the truth most people never hear. Almonds are one of the highest oxalate nuts on the planet. When you consume them occasionally, the body can usually handle it. But when almonds show up in multiple forms every single day, milk in your coffee flour, in your baked goods bars as snacks, handfuls between meals, you're stacking oxalate exposure without realizing it. The research backs this up. Excessive almond intake has been linked to increased urinary oxalate levels, a key driver of kidney stone formation. Kidney health organizations consistently warn stone-prone individuals to limit nuts, especially high oxalate varieties like almonds. Yet almonds remain one of the most aggressively marketed health foods in low-carb keto and plant-based diets. And here's what makes this especially cruel. People don't switch to almonds because they're careless. They do it because they're trying to be disciplined, responsible, and proactive about their health. But discipline without the right information can quietly push the kidneys into overload day after day with no symptoms, no pain, and no warning. So what's the smarter move? You don't have to fear fats or avoid all nuts. You choose ones that are far gentler on the kidneys: macadamia, nuts, walnuts, pecans. If you want a plant-based milk, unsweetened coconut milk, or macadamia, nut milk is a much safer option. And if you tolerate dairy, high-quality grass-fed options can actually be easier on the kidneys than almond milk ever was. But here's the uncomfortable part. Even people who clean up their diet, remove almonds, and choose better foods still miss a hidden threat because it doesn't come from food you chew. It comes from what you drink every single day. And just knowing this still isn't enough because the next factor is even more dangerous, and almost everyone overlooks it. And this is where things get even more deceptive. Because once people clean up their food, remove almonds, and feel like they've fixed their diet, they often turn to something they believe is completely harmless, sometimes even helpful: diet soda. Zero-calorie drinks, sugar-free everything. On the surface, it sounds like a smart move. No sugar, no calories, no guilt. I've heard people say, at least this isn't hurting anything. But that assumption is one of the most dangerous myths in modern nutrition, especially for your kidneys. Here's what the science actually shows. In the large Nurses' Health study, women who drank 2 or more diet sodas per day had double the risk of rapid kidney function decline over the following years. Not subtle damage, not theoretical risk, measurable decline in how well the kidneys filtered blood. Why does this happen? Because diet sodas are not just flavored water. They're chemical cocktails. Artificial sweeteners like aspartame sucralose and acesulfame potassium have been shown to alter the gut microbiome in ways that increase inflammation and metabolic stress. And when gut health shifts, kidney filtration suffers. The kidneys don't operate in isolation, they respond to what's happening upstream. Then there's the part almost no one reads on the label: phosphate additives. These compounds are absorbed at extremely high rates and force the kidneys to work overtime just to maintain balance. Over time, that constant strain accelerates kidney wear and tear even in people who otherwise eat clean. This is what makes diet soda so dangerous. It feels like a safe reward, a small comfort, something you don't think twice about. But while it saves calories, it quietly drains kidney resilience. And because there's no immediate pain, people keep drinking it for years, assuming they've made the healthy choice. The solution isn't deprivation, it's substitution. Sparkling water with lemon or lime, mineral water, unsweetened herbal teas, even naturally flavored drinks made without artificial sweeteners. These options hydrate you without pushing your kidneys closer to the edge. But here's where it gets more serious. Many people hear this and think, fine, I'll just avoid diet soda and stick to regular drinks. And that's when they walk straight into the next trap, one that hits the kidneys even harder and faster. Because knowing this still isn't enough. The next category of drinks causes even more damage, and most people are still drinking them every single day. And this is where many people think the danger finally becomes obvious. Regular soda, sweet tea, energy drinks. These are the drinks everyone already knows are bad. And because they're obvious, people underestimate just how destructive they are, especially to the kidneys. I've spoken with patients who told me I only drink 1 or 2 a day. They weren't binging. They weren't careless. It was just a habit, something cold, sweet, and familiar. What they didn't realize is that for the kidneys, even that small daily habit can be a constant assault. Here's why. Sugar-sweetened beverages don't just raise blood sugar. The fructose they contain drives up uric acid, a compound that directly stresses the kidneys and increases the risk of kidney stones and gout. At the same time, many sodas contain phosphoric acid, which alters mineral balance and further promotes stone formation. This is a double-hit: chemical stress plus metabolic stress happening every single day. The science is clear. Research shows that higher intake of sugar-sweetened beverages is associated with a significantly increased risk of chronic kidney disease. In people who already have kidney issues, these drinks are linked to higher mortality rates. And for anyone who's had a kidney stone before continuing to drink soda is like striking matches in a dry forest. It doesn't take much for the damage to flare up again. What makes this especially dangerous is how normal it feels. These drinks are everywhere at restaurants, gas stations, family gatherings. No one stops you. No one warns you. And because the damage builds quietly, people assume their kidneys are fine until they're not. The smarter move isn't complicated. You hydrate with water. You switch to unsweetened tea. You choose high-quality coffee without sugar bombs. You use electrolytes that aren't loaded with sugar or artificial additives. These choices don't just reduce harm, they actively lower the stress your kidneys face every day. But here's the twist most people never see coming. Even after cutting soda, sweet tea, and energy drinks, many still unknowingly damage their kidneys with foods that look healthy, sound healthy, and are marketed as healthy. Because knowing this still isn't enough. The next threat hides inside health foods themselves, and it may be even more dangerous than sugar. And this is where the story takes a turn most people never expect. Because after cutting soda, avoiding sugar, and trying to eat cleaner, many people unknowingly walk straight into one of the most dangerous traps for kidney health, ultra-processed health foods. I'm talking about protein bars, flavored yogurts, vegan nuggets, ready-to-drink protein, snacks, sports drinks, and even instant oatmeal cups labeled as high protein or heart healthy. These foods don't look harmful. They're sold in the health aisle. They use words like natural, plant-based, and functional, and that's exactly why they slip under the radar. I've had patients tell me I don't eat junk anymore. I only eat healthy packaged foods. But when we actually read the ingredient list together, the problem becomes obvious. One word keeps showing up over and over again: phosphate. Here's why that matters. Naturally occurring phosphorus in whole foods is absorbed slowly, but phosphate additives, the kind used to improve texture, shelf life, and flavor, are absorbed at 90 to 100%. That means almost all of it goes straight into your bloodstream, forcing your kidneys to work overtime to remove it. Day after day, meal after meal. The research is alarming. High phosphate intake is associated with faster progression of chronic kidney disease and higher mortality rates, even in people who don't yet have advanced kidney problems. Large studies also show that people who consume more ultra-processed foods have around a 24% higher risk of developing chronic kidney disease, and that risk increases with each additional daily serving. What makes this so dangerous is how invisible it is. You don't taste phosphate. You don't feel it immediately. But inside your body, your kidneys are struggling to maintain balance while inflammation quietly builds. This is not a rare problem. It's happening to people who genuinely believe they're doing everything right. So what's the solution? You stop outsourcing your health to labels. You prioritize real whole foods with short ingredient lists. You avoid products where you see words like phosphoric acid, sodium phosphate, or anything ending in phosphate. And when you do need convenience, you choose options with minimal processing, not marketing hype. But even after people clean up packaged foods, remove hidden phosphates, and start cooking more at home, there's still one major habit that continues to overload the kidneys, especially in people trying to get healthier. Because knowing this still isn't enough. The next factor comes from something many people rely on daily, and it may be even more dangerous than processed food itself. And this is where even the most disciplined people get caught off guard. Because after cutting sugar, avoiding soda, ditching processed snacks, and cooking more at home, many people still rely on one habit they believe is completely safe: protein shakes and high-protein drinks. I hear this all the time. I'm just trying to hit my protein. It's cleaner than real food. It helps me lose weight. And on the surface, that sounds reasonable. Protein itself is not the enemy. Your kidneys don't fear protein. What they fear is what most companies hide inside protein products. Here's what's rarely discussed. Many commercial protein powders contain phosphate additives to improve texture and mixability. These phosphates spike serum phosphate levels and force the kidneys to work overtime just to maintain balance. Over time, that constant strain accelerates kidney decline. Studies consistently link high phosphate intake to faster progression of chronic kidney disease and increased cardiovascular mortality. Then there's the second hit. Most protein shakes are loaded with artificial sweeteners, the same ones found in diet sodas: sucralose, aspartame, acsulfame potassium. Research shows that consuming 2 or more artificially sweetened beverages per day is associated with a significant increase in kidney function decline, and protein shakes quietly count toward that total. It doesn't stop there. Many powders contain 300 to 500 milligrams of sodium per scoop, often from low-quality sources. High sodium raises blood pressure, and high blood pressure directly damages kidney filters. Add in fillers and gums like carrageenan guar gum and cellulose gum, and you've got a recipe for gut inflammation that spills over into metabolic stress, yet another burden placed on the kidneys. What makes this so dangerous is how normal it feels. A shake after a workout, a shake for breakfast, a shake because you're being good. No warning signs, no immediate symptoms. Just quiet overload happening day after day. The solution isn't to avoid protein, it's to respect your kidneys while using it. Choose clean, organic, grass-fed protein with no phosphates, no gums, and no artificial sweeteners. Cold-processed collagen can be a safer option. If you prefer plant-based, keep it simple, pea or hemp protein, organic, third-party tested, and nothing extra hiding in the label. But even when people fix their protein, remove additives, and clean up everything they eat and drink, there's still one everyday factor that continues to sabotage kidney health, often without people realizing it at all. Because knowing this still isn't enough. The final habit may seem ordinary, even harmless, but it could be the deciding factor in whether your kidneys fail over time. And this is the habit almost no one questions, because it feels normal, cultural, and unavoidable. Salt, packaged foods, restaurant meals. Not the salt you add with intention at home, but the kind hidden everywhere you don't see. I've had patients swear they barely use salt. They don't salt their food at the table. They don't cook with heavy seasoning. And yet their blood pressure keeps creeping up their kidney labs, slowly worsening. When we look closer, the source becomes obvious. Chips, frozen meals, canned soups, fast food, restaurant dishes. The sodium isn't coming from their kitchen, it's coming from convenience. Here's what happens inside the body. Excess sodium raises blood pressure. Elevated blood pressure damages the delicate filters inside your kidneys. And once those filters are damaged, they begin to leak protein into the urine, one of the earliest and strongest signals of long-term kidney decline. This isn't theory, this is physiology. Research consistently shows that high sodium intake accelerates kidney damage, especially when combined with high sugar and refined carbohydrates. And the danger compounds quietly. You don't feel high blood pressure damaging your kidneys in real time. There's no alarm, no pain, just slow cumulative injury that adds up over years. What makes this especially frustrating is that salt itself isn't the villain. Quality matters. High-quality, mineral-rich salts used intentionally in home cooking are very different from the refined sodium blasted into packaged and restaurant foods. One nourishes, the other overwhelms. So the solution isn't extreme restriction, it's control. You cook more meals at home. You use real herbs and spices for flavor. You choose high-quality salt instead of letting food manufacturers decide your sodium intake for you. And you dramatically reduce how often restaurants and packaged foods dominate your diet. Because when kidney disease explodes at a population level, it's rarely one dramatic mistake. It's the accumulation of ordinary habits done daily, unquestioned, and unchecked. And this brings us to the most important realization of all. None of these habits destroy the kidneys overnight, but together they decide whether kidney damage stays silent or becomes permanent. Before we finish, I want you to hear this clearly. Nothing we talked about today is meant to scare you. It's meant to empower you. Kidney damage doesn't happen overnight, and protecting your kidneys doesn't require perfection. What truly matters is awareness, consistency, and starting sooner rather than later. Even small changes, cutting back on one habit, swapping one food, choosing one better drink, can reduce stress on your kidneys and change the direction of your health over time. If this video helped you understand your body better, do yourself a favor and save it. Come back to it, rewatch it, share it with someone you care about, because kidney problems often stay silent until it's too late. And the right information at the right time can make all the difference. And if you want to keep learning how to protect your kidneys, slow down kidney decline, and make smarter choices as you age, subscribe to this channel. I post evidence-based, easy-to-understand medical insights designed to help you take control of your kidney health before problems become permanent. Most importantly, don't lose hope. Your kidneys are resilient organs, and your body is always responding to the choices you make today, not the mistakes you made years ago. Stay informed, stay proactive, and remember, taking care of your kidneys is one of the most powerful investments you can make in your long-term health. I'll see you in the next video.